fan of Aaliyah or her music, you would know that it's almost impossible to buy or stream her music without the use of YouTube. Well, the reason is because her uncle Barry Hankerson of Blackground Records sold all of the publishing rights for artists like Toni Braxton, JoJo, and Aaliyah. And Stephen Witt did a whole background story on it for Complex. Here's the story of Barry Hankerson and his shady music business. Barry Hankerson was born in Detroit, Michigan on August 3, 1947. In the 1960s, he attended Central State University in Ohio, majoring in sociology, and pursued a career in politics. In the 1970s, he worked in the office for Coleman Young, the mayor of Detroit, where he met R&B and soul singer Gladys Knight. Barry would produce a televised special on which Gladys and the Pips performed. The two started dating and would be married in a few years. Gladys describes her first encounter with Barry in a 1975 Jet magazine interview as evil. Barry Hankerson started using Gladys's celebrity and connections to make a name for himself in the industry. He convinced her to leave her band The Pips behind and negotiated better terms with her label. He produced her movie debut that he also starred in and started a management company to handle her affairs.
What are you doing here?
Where have you been?
What is this?
I've been waiting here for you for hours. Where have you been?
Where the Duke?
What do you mean?
He invited me up to the glacier for the date.
Look, that little jive Duke, huh? That little hick. Why don't you tell him to put some sugar in his shoes so he can sweet talk his pant legs down?
Hey, don't talk about the Duke like that. He's been really nice to me since I've been here.
Look, don't make no friends up here.
Why not?
After they divorced in 1979, Barry left his job in politics and started managing and producing the gospel music group The Winans in the 1980s. In the 90s, he managed R. Kelly, who became an international superstar, and produced his first 4 albums. He introduced his 12-year-old niece Aaliyah to Robert in 1991.
Called Aaliyah Hutton.
Funny Valentine, sweet comic Valentine, you make me smile with your heart.
Aaliyah was the daughter of his sister Diane. He founded Blackground Records with his son Jomo in 1993, a boutique label distributed by Jive Records. Barry signed Aaliyah to Blackground and started managing her career. He produced all of her albums and managed her publishing and royalty deals. He even provided her with talented songwriters and producers signed to Blackground like Timbaland, Missy Elliott, Static Major, and suspected sexual predator R. Kelly, who he separated her from after they were illegally married.
When Aaliyah's uncle, Barry Hankerson, saw the obvious potential in his young niece. His company, Blackground Records, signed up the 11-year-old and secured her first major distribution deal with Jive Records. Aaliyah's career was very much run as a family business.
When I think about Aaliyah and I really look into what I think made her feel so secure, a couple of the factors would be the fact that she was surrounded by a really good group of people. And it was like a family vibe. The whole family came. Her uncle, who was her manager, Barry Hankerson, her mother, her father, her cousin, who was, I guess, co-manager, Jomo Hankerson. They were all up there. It was a family vibe, and and then we were all part of the family. And she had a lot of love for her brother. She would, they were like, oof. They come around, she just loved her brother. They just loved each other like that. That was a great relationship to see.
Well, having a family around you sometimes can be the worst thing, but sometimes it can be the best thing, depending upon who you're talking about. But I think for Aaliyah, it was a great thing. Actually, from my experience, I know it was a great thing for her.
Daddy, I love you more than life itself. You're the best father in the world. Happy Father's Day.
Barry Hankerson had his finger on the pulse of where Aaliyah's career should be heading and introduced her to R&B star R. Kelly. He was a hugely successful recording artist and was the perfect producer to see Aaliyah through her first album, Age Ain't Nothing But a Number. The relationship with R. Kelly fueled rumours of more than just a working partnership, and with R. Kelly aged 27 and Aaliyah just 15, it set the rumour mill into action. Were they or weren't they married?
Vibe magazine actually published the wedding document between Aaliyah and R. Kelly. So whether it was a stunt or not, something about it was real. Certainly it generated more heat for Aaliyah's career because she became controversial. And also working with R. Kelly was good for her artistically as well because R. Kelly is a terrific performer, knows rhythm, knows melody, and has an ear for what people want to hear.
In 1996, Barry would move Blackground from Jive to Atlantic after getting a distribution deal with Atlantic Records. He also managed artists like Toni Braxton and Genuine. Barry cut ties with R. Kelly in the year of 2000. Some people suspected that it was because he had seen some of Robert's tapes.
I love music with my heart, and I love acting as well. There's some similarities, but yet there are a lot of differences as well, and I like doing both. And with acting, I get to explore a different side of myself. It can be very cathartic in a lot of ways, and the same with music, so I don't want to abandon one for the other. I want to try to do both as long as I can.
Aaliyah had always dreamt of acting in the movies, and in 1999, she accepted a lead role in the film Romeo Must Die, alongside action star Jet Li. The film was an immediate success with her fans.
I wanted this role because I felt we were similar in a lot of ways. She's a tough girl, she's independent, but she loves her family.
In Queen of the Damned, the sequel to the incredibly successful Interview with the Vampire, Aaliyah was cast as Akasha, Queen of all vampires.
Well, Aaliyah was a pop star, but she loved the shadows. She loved, dabbling in strange, cutting-edge things. She told me once that she had all these Egyptian artifacts around her New York City apartment. And so playing 6,000-year-old vampire queen with roots in Egypt, that was right up her alley. She wanted to explore that side of herself. She didn't just want to be a teen queen. She wanted to be a mature actress, a mature entertainer.
It's definitely fun to explore that side of yourself, and the side of yourself that you keep hidden in your everyday life, because you're not supposed to go there unless it's absolutely necessary. And yeah, it's fun to just be that mean, evil person.
Aaliyah was at the peak of her career with a few acting roles under her belt and had hits like Try Again and More Than a Woman. A month after releasing her self-titled album, Aaliyah was killed in a plane crash while filming the music video for Rock the Boat. Barry grieved for a long time and would never fully recover. In 2003, he signed 12-year-old JoJo, who he says reminded him of his niece Aaliyah. JoJo's debut album reached number 4 on Billboard's Hot 100 and produced the 2 hit songs Leave, Get Out, and Baby It's You. Get out, right now, it's the end of you and me. In 2006, her second album hit number 3, selling 108,000 units, and the lead single, Too Little Too Late, was a commercial success. However, the other singles would flop. As for Barry, he started getting hit with lawsuits in 2007. Toni was released from her contract on January 10th of that year. Later that year, Tony sued Blackground, claiming a breach of trust and misrepresentation and accusing Hankerson of fraud, deception, and double dealing. When Barry Hankerson began working with Tony in 1997, he loaned her a substantial amount of money to assist her in dealing with her bankruptcy. As her manager, he negotiated a contract on her behalf with Arista Records that paid her an advance of $23 million. However, after only 2 albums, Arista released her from her contract. That's when Barry signed her to Blackground Records, where she released only 1 of the 3 albums she committed to. They eventually settled the suit. In 2009, Timbaland sued Blackground, alleging that the label had refused to provide financing for his 3rd album and alleged that they tried to have him blackballed by telling labels not to work with him. Timbaland also claimed that Blackground ruined his artistry by making him a producer instead of performer. Timbaland wanted to be a rapper originally, but Barry and Jomo sort of made him Aaliyah's designated producer. JoJo was released from her contract with Blackground in October of 2009, and a deal was reached to have her 3rd album distributed by Interscope. In 2013, JoJo filed a lawsuit alleging that Blackground had refused to release her 3rd album for more than 6 years. Both parties settled out of court.
Because everybody is ready for an album so
ready too. It's a wicked fucked up situation. I'm like totally exasperated by it. I'm honestly really pissed off, and I'm tired of being politically correct, to be honest with you. So you know, I'm in a lawsuit. I filed a lawsuit against them. I'm not playing around, and they're gonna. I know justice will be served. I really do believe it. I believe it'll be resolved shortly, because there's only so long that you can, you know, oppress someone. So.
Last 10 years, a lot has happened. Mostly, I've done a lot of growing up. From 15 to 25, you change a lot. I did a couple movies, did a little acting. And then at 18, I had to sue my record company that I was signed with, as you do. And I needed to gain the right back to my voice because they weren't allowing me to release music. I just didn't see where our future was headed, where they weren't releasing anything. So tried to work it out with them for a little while. I recorded several incarnations of a 3rd album, hundreds of songs. And then at 22, I sued them again. And this time I really meant business. And thankfully I was able to, the lawyers I worked with found a loophole. I was able to get out. That same day that I was released from my contract with Blackground, I signed to Atlantic Records. And within the next couple months, got right back into the studio and started working on music because I just wanted to make up for lost time.
Jeffrey Walker, a former producer for Blackground, sued the label after being sent a tax bill from the IRS for more than $200,000 of reported income he says he never received. Jeffrey's lawyer claims that Barry Hankerson's son, Jomo, had endorsed the checks himself, then cashed them in a Blackground account. Blackground stopped releasing music, and as the music industry shifted from CDs to digital and streaming services, Blackground didn't participate, and the artist stopped making money. Barry was holding on to Aaliyah's unreleased music, unedited vocals, and her catalog of music minus the one produced by R. Kelly that doesn't represent her legacy well, and the one that Barry doesn't own the masters for, aka Age Ain't Nothing But a Number. Blackground had stopped operating as a business, and Barry sold a stake to Blackground's publishing rights to Reservoir Media Management. That included the unreleased Aaliyah songs and vocals and other music from artists that released songs through the label. Reservoir started trying to license Aaliyah samples to rappers, but those projects were denounced by Aaliyah's family, Timbaland, and Missy Elliott. Drake was the main person pushing to produce a posthumous Aaliyah album, but his producer backed out of the album, saying that he wasn't comfortable producing it without the approval of Aaliyah's family and friends.
Myself, you know. Can you talk to me? Let's talk about it. Think we know the truth. Say that's all. Think we know.
In 2013, Craze Digital, a distribution company, illegally posted them on iTunes. The tracks would be removed. They tried again in 2017. In addition to Aaliyah, here are other albums that you can't buy or stream. JoJo's first 2 successful albums, JoJo, which features Leave Get Out, and The High Road, that features Too Little Too Late. Tony Braxton's 2005 Libra album, that features the banger, Please. Tank's 2001 Force of Nature that features one of his most popular songs, Maybe I Deserve. His 2002 One Man album. His 2007 Sex, Love, and Pain album that features another one of his most popular songs, Please Don't Go. We all know this one.
I'm right here begging you, please don't go, baby.
And you basically can't listen to or stream any Timbaland and Magoo album that was released before the year of 2007. His other legal problems involved his ex-girlfriend, who sued him in 2007 for harassment and blowing up her car when she broke up with him in 2006. She alleges that Barry started spreading rumors about her having HIV online. The IP address from the source traced back to Barry, and he bought the hair salon that she was working at with his background funds and fired her. He also had a private investigator follow her and made threatening anonymous phone calls. She was awarded $5.8 million that Barry has yet to pay. Stephen Witt wrote in the Complex article, as the years pass, there's a bigger risk that Aaliyah will be forgotten. Nostalgia is cyclical, and Aaliyah has already peaked as a fashion icon on Tumblr. Right now, the music industry is in the midst of a shift to an all-streaming landscape. When the transition is complete, if Aaliyah's catalog isn't on the right platforms, her music could functionally cease to exist. Within a few years, she could transition from resurrected angel to period piece obscurity. One day, if you want to understand what made her so important, you'll have to dig out your Discman and pray you can still find a used CD copy of 1 in a Million or Aaliyah. And if that happens, Uncle Barry will be the one to blame. I know some of you will say that it's hard for Aaliyah's legacy to fade, but unfortunately it will as this generation gets older and her fans stop updating her fan sites. And unfortunately for JoJo and Tank, just like Aaliyah, their most important songs and albums aren't available to the public, and they won't make any money from those songs that people so badly want to hear. Were you ever curious about why you can't stream or buy Aaliyah's albums? Alright guys, go ahead and let me know your thoughts in the comment section.